Being that Halloween is my favorite franchise, I find enjoyment in just about every film in the series. But most people, whether you're a hardcore fan of the series or not, know the black sheep films in the franchise. Well, today, I'm going to war for those black sheeps, baby.
The boogeyman is coming.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nick at the Lost River Driving, and I'm coming at you tonight because I want to do an in defense of the misunderstood sequels in the Halloween franchise. First and foremost, go ahead and click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We post a lot of great horror content here. Obviously, in the month of October, we talk Halloween. Leave a like on this video if you have not already, and share it on social media with your friends. So as you heard me say at the top, I'm a diehard Halloween fan. No secret to anyone. Well, there are a few films in this series that whether you're a diehard, whether you're a casual, or whether you just read the internet, you know which ones are the black sheep of the franchise. And I kind of want to go to war for these guys and defend them. Now, if you are a patron of mine, you will have seen my Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers deep dive review that I just did. And Lord knows I hadn't reviewed that movie in almost 10 years on my channel. So that was really fun. So go ahead and check that out on my Patreon if you haven't already. Become a patron for just $1 a month. So I'm very passionate about these movies. And I'm not going to say that it's kind of ironic that the ones that are the black sheep are the ones that I tend to love a lot. And I don't know if that's because I myself was a black sheep, so I identify with these movies. I will say right off the top, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is not going to be included in this list. The reason I'm not including Halloween 3 in this list is because over the past decade or so, people have really begun to accept and appreciate Season of the Witch. And that is awesome. I will say for the longest time, it was a black sheep in the franchise. I don't think it is anymore. I really don't. I think a lot of people truly appreciate that movie. But if you still consider it a black sheep in the franchise, more power to you. I totally understand that. But it belongs in the franchise regardless. So the first one we're going to talk about tonight is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, to nobody's surprise. Now, there are a lot of complaints that come with this movie, and I can understand all of them. First and foremost, one of the biggest complaints people have is Jamie being mute for half of this movie. They don't think it makes sense. It's a weird story choice with the ending of Halloween 4. I can understand that. Another thing people take issue with in this movie is Rachel, Ellie Cornell, dying so soon in what they feel is an undignified way. I can totally understand that as well. The clown cops, the noises, and just the characters themselves when these cops are on screen. Totally understand that. The mask. Totally understand that. The gothic 3-story house as the Myers house. Totally understand that. And guess what? I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're wrong for having those types of issues with this movie. What I want to say is, I want to defend these and try to explain them the best I can. Oh, and Tina. God forbid I don't mention Tina. People hate Tina. First of all, with Jamie being mute, I always never had a problem with that because the events of the last movie left her traumatized. And that's actually something that you can research. Children will close off and not talk when traumatic events happen to them and they don't know how to process them. So with that happening with Jamie, I completely bought it. I think people were more upset at that they didn't go the route of her being the killer, which, guys, in hindsight, that would absolutely positively have been so weird. Like, so weird. Could it have been cool? Absolutely. Could have been cool. Would it have been more weird than cool? Probably. Now, we're never going to know what that was like, so we can hypothesize about that all day. But I'm glad they didn't go that route with her as the killer because Michael is the star of this franchise, clearly. I will say, though, as far as the mask and let's just say with the mask, that happens in every movie, guys. The mask is always different for whatever reason. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. We don't know. But it seems to always be different. Always. And, they got it a little wonkier this time. People call it the Nick Cage mask. The house was a conscious decision, actually. And that's one thing that I don't think a lot of people really think about is I think Dominique himself, the director, Dominique Athanin-Girard, talked about how they needed a house that was that big because they really needed to have the laundry chute sequence, a basement, an attic sequence. So I get it. You know, the outside of it, the inside of it, you're like, this isn't the Myers house. But for this movie as a stand-in for what they needed in the finale, it's okay because I love the finale. I think most people agree the finale of this movie is actually really good. As far as the clown cops, there is no defending that. I'm sorry, there is none. I mean, it's the 80s, so you can just an 80s thing. Even then, to be so on the nose with it, and hey guys, we know they're dumb. We know you shouldn't take them seriously. I mean, you don't need to say the quiet part out loud, but regardless, you know, I'll give you guys that one. And Tina, people overblow Tina. I mean, they overblow her performance so badly. You mean to tell me you have not seen characters loud and at times cringy in 80s horror films? Because you're lying to yourself and you're lying to me, and I don't like being lied to. Look, she is over the top, but I think Wendy Kaplan does a really good job in the role for the material she's given, and she redeems herself. She has her moment in this movie where you don't feel like having her in the movie was a complete waste of time. And for that, and she loves Jamie. I mean, you can tell she loves Jamie. So there's an authenticity to her and to her character that you don't really see till she's about dead. But it's cool. It's cool nonetheless. And I think that she does earn her stay in this movie. I think people were just more upset about her essentially replacing Rachel. And she is no Rachel. I'll give you that. But I really don't mind Tina in this movie. Overall, I guess my opinions really are that I think that this movie is criminally misunderstood because it was rushed and there are some edges that are pretty rough with this movie, and you can tell some things weren't totally fleshed out. I'm looking at you, the man in black. But overall, I think this movie has a charm to it, and I think that it's acted beautifully by Danielle. I really think Danielle does a fantastic job in this movie. And, I really like Jeffrey Landman in the movie too. And I like their, cohesion and their relationship, her and Billy. And I just think that there's a lot about this movie that really is cool and really was daring and tried to, break new ground. And for that, I'll always appreciate Halloween 5. I just think it gets too much hate and I don't like it. I don't like it. Also, shout out Dominique Athanin-Girard. Some absolutely brilliant shots and lighting choices in this movie. And you get that foreign European flair in here that he brought. Love the barn scene. Love the stuff in the house. Love especially the laundry chute sequence. Awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. I will always love Halloween 5, and I hope you guys will give it another chance. The next one, ironically being the next one that came out, is none other than 1995's Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers, or as people know it, Halloween 6, or Halloween 6, the movie that has 15 billion different cuts. Halloween 6 is also very misunderstood. I'm going to do what I did with Halloween 5 and lay out some of the main complaints with this movie. The Curse of Thorn. People have an issue with it, the explanation of it, so on and so forth. The cult that's associated with Thorn. Paul Rudd's performance. The ambiguous ending. And the seeming the plot holes, I guess you should say, the ends that weren't tied up at the end of the movie. Those are some of the biggest complaints with Halloween 6. First of all, you better put some respect on Paul frickin' Rudd's name. Paul Rudd does absolutely fantastic in this movie. The role that he was given, the way it was written, he nails it. Nails it. He nails it to a T. Wow, this is a weird trifecta. Oh my goodness. Oh no. The end of days is upon us. He nails it. I really think he does a fantastic job in this movie. The character is supposed to be cringy. The character is supposed to be weird and just awkward, and everything that he is was intentional. And he did a great job with it. The Curse of Thorn. I agree. I do not like the explanation for Michael. I will say that was Halloween 5's fault. But again, it's also not Halloween 5's fault because it was really like Mustafa and the producers that added the Man in Black in Halloween 5 just because. Oh, we'll answer that in the next one. I feel like you're self-sabotaging a little bit there, but regardless, I don't agree with the explanation either. And I don't like the cult aspects either when it comes to Jamie being impregnated by Michael, that's super weird. Michael having to kill his family to, like, free himself from this curse. It's kind of a cop-out, honestly. I agree. However, in defense of it, if we're keeping in theme with defending it, Daniel Farrens was given a really tough task. Explain this symbol, explain what it has to do with Michael, and weave an entire story of the next movie out of that little piece. And I think with what he was given, it was actually a pretty valiant attempt by Farrens. I really think that he gave us something that was, although it's not always there, it's not totally fleshed out, some of it may not make the most sense, it's not totally hokey over the top. Okay, no frickin' way. He did his best. So I'll defend it a little bit in saying that with the tools he was given and the material he had to go off of, I think he did a decent job with it. It just, because of the production and all the issues on the set and behind the scenes, it never got to be fully realized. And he's even said, even the producer's cut is not fully realized at all. So we'll never truly know what Halloween 6 was supposed to be. Now, I will say I prefer the theatrical cut. I prefer the ending more with Loomis. I prefer less of the, rocks and weirdness of the producer's cut. I do appreciate the producer's cut, but the theatrical cut is the way to go for me. The other complaints. I'm trying to think here of the other complaints that I listed. I think overall, people just find the movie to be very strange, very out there, very unsure of what it's doing. And they're right in that respect at times. But in defense of this movie, you get an absolutely brutal George P. Wilbur as Michael Myers. You get arguably the best fall aesthetic in this entire franchise. You get some super memorable kills. You get some great performances. You really do. You really do. Donald as Loomis is good as always. Marianne Hagen does a great job as Kara. John Strode, played by Bradford English, is fantastic. God, such a D-bag. And Paul Rudd is awesome. I think there's so much about Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, that is so good and does right that these nitpicks that we have, at times we have to take a step back and just look past some of them and understand it's a product of its time. It's a product of the issues at Miramax and Dimension and whatever else may be involved. And the final product we got was a really solid effort by a guy that had never, written a motion picture before. Ignore me. By a guy that had never written a motion picture before, and I think that it comes across as a true labor of love and that he tried his absolute best with what he was given. And by God, I will always love Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And I think you should give it another chance. And finally, what is arguably the most divisive film in this entire franchise, and that includes Halloween Kills, which is surprisingly pretty divisive. This one takes the cake, without a doubt. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. You knew I was going to talk about it. If you're new to my channel, you don't know how I feel about this movie. If you've been watching me for a while, or even just for the past week, you know how I feel about this movie, and you knew it was going to come up. Let me just say something. People complain about the White Horse and reusing Sherry Moon. People complain about Michael grunting, Michael's mask, Hobo Myers. Laurie is always screaming and crying, and she's insufferable. People complain about the director's cut ending. I can go on and on. People don't like Rob Zombie. That's fine. Guess what? A lot of people do like Rob Zombie. So for the people that do like Rob Zombie, they expect some of these things. For the people that don't, I think their judgment at times is clouded with this movie. And let me tell you why. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 always was Rob Zombie's Halloween, essentially. Rob wanted to make his own Halloween film with Halloween, but he couldn't, and he knew he couldn't because he had to stay true to the source material that came before it. So the first half was his attempt at being original, and it didn't really land. Second half of the movie, it's, a remake, a fast-paced remake of John Carpenter's Halloween, and it's fun. The Weinsteins want him back. Dimension wants him back. Malika Akkad wants him back. Okay, well, if you want me back, I'm making my own movie. And you got Rob Zombie's true Halloween vision in this movie. If you can separate yourself from what you expect from your prototypical Halloween movie and go into this open-minded, I think you will have a much greater appreciation for it than you would if you go into it, oh, I'm expecting a good old-fashioned Michael Myers movie. Michael is in this movie. Obviously, he's the antagonist, but this entire movie is a character study. From Michael to Loomis to Laurie to Annie to Brackett, everyone, to the town of Haddonfield. It is a character study. Laurie screaming and she's insufferable. After what she experienced the year prior, almost dying, losing multiple friends, losing her family, yeah, you would be too. People deal with trauma differently and PTSD differently, and I think that Scout's portrayal and her slow descent into madness in this movie is super believable. Her relationship with Annie is heartbreaking because looking at each other, they are reminded of that night. They still have so much love for one another, but they cannot help but be reminded of that night every time they look at each other. And they love each other, but you wouldn't know it watching this movie. Brad Dourif is so good as Sheriff Brackett. Easily the best sheriff in the Halloween franchise, period. And this movie, he kills it. Kills it. Absolutely fantastic by Brad Dourif. Tyler Mane and Michael Myers, Hobo Myers, Grunting Myers. Again, this is a character study. Michael Myers is a human being, okay? This isn't like John Carpenter's where it's like alluded to that he might be supernatural. No, Michael is a human being in this film. And as a human being, with the natural progression of what happened after Rob's first film, he is wandering, okay? Where's he going to shave? Where's he going to shower? Where's he going to change his clothes? Where's he going to brush his teeth? Where's he going to go patch up his mask? What's he going to eat? Everything that happens to Myers in this movie, how he looks, how he acts, is the natural progression of what would happen to a psychopathic killer that was roaming the wild for a year. I get it if it's not your prototypical Myers, but to say it's not realistic and it doesn't make sense is just so out of bounds because it does. It actually makes the most sense. It's very realistic. The grunting. He's mad. Again, he's a person. This is not the Michael Myers that you grew up knowing or I grew up knowing. This is a different Michael Myers. He is mad. He's a very angry person. And when he kills people, especially when they piss him off, he's mad. Okay? So some of that stuff needs to get put to bed. As far as Rob Zombie criticisms, the dialogue in this movie is tuned way down from the first film. I mean, way down. You have the coroner section, which is, I can give you that. But after that, yeah, there's F-bombs and stuff, but there's nothing like there's no peanut butter on my penis like Halloween 2018. There's nothing super dumb like that. There's nothing that's really like, although it may be vulgar, it's normal in a sense. I'm not trying to normalize vulgarity, but actually, yeah, there's a stigma there. Normalize vulgarity, YouTube. But it's not over the top. It's not like some of the lines like the breakfast scene in the first movie and the bathroom scene with the bullies. That stuff is over the top. Normal humans don't talk like that. I'm sorry. That is toned way down in this movie. I feel like this was his vision from the beginning to make this a character study, to dig deep into these characters' minds and how they're affected and how they're connected. And it's shot on 16 millimeter film and it looks absolutely gorgeous. The lighting is fantastic. The cinematography by Brandon Trost, oh, so good. I mean, there is the acting. There are two super emotional moments in this movie, and you don't get that with slasher films a lot. And they're just so powerful and so beautifully acted. This movie's so misunderstood, I'll take it to my grave. Like, I just will. This movie is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's brilliant. I'm not even going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to say it's anything other than brilliant, because it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So, Rob Zombie's Halloween. So that is going to do it for the In Defense of the misunderstood Halloween sequels. Now, you could make a case for Halloween Kills. You could make a case for Halloween 3. I won't make a case for Halloween Resurrection. I don't feel it's misunderstood, but you get my point. Those are the three most, I think, that really are the bastard children of the franchise. And I feel like they all have their merits, and some of them more than others deserve your adoration and your praise and your respect. And I think that these filmmakers and these actors and actresses put so much time and effort and money into these projects, and they want to make something you like, and they want to be appreciated for what they did. And I don't care who you are. Most films, there's always something you can appreciate. Most films. I won't say every film. But regardless, I just feel like those movies deserve a little bit more love. And I hope if you guys don't love them, maybe you come around to them. I hope that if you do love them, that you appreciate hearing somebody else that loves them. And I hope if you don't love them, that you don't get mad at me for, praising them the way I do. I'm very passionate about those movies. I'm very passionate about this franchise. It means a lot to me. And, I really just felt like Halloween is right around the corner. What better time than to revisit this In Defense Of? I did one of these years ago, and it's great to do it again and just put it back out there into the world. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you're not, button's right down there. Go ahead and click it. And, that's going to do it for me at the Lost River Drive-In. So this is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.